Today we're going to talk about the top 6 things that you need to know as a first-time buyer. And these are actually 6 tips that I developed about 8 months ago when I was going to buy my own condo for the first time. So the goal of this is to kind of take away a lot of the guesswork that first-time buyers have around even where to start. So the first thing that you need to know is your job and your income stable. These are very important things to know because most people hold back from buying a home because of fear of the unknown. And a big fear of that is the money portion. And the worst thing that you could possibly do to yourself is stress yourself out financially. And you don't want to stay awake at night wondering, oh crap, am I going to make my mortgage payment? Am I going to not be able to go out? Am I not? You don't want to have these nagging thoughts in your head when you go to buy a place. You want to be comfortable with the financial situation that you're in. Have you been at your job for a while? And is the future of the job secure? Because these are things that you need to know and your bank will want to know before they will approve you. The second top thing that you need to know as a first-time buyer is whether you have enough savings to cover your down payment and your closing costs. Many people save for the down payment portion of their purchase, but they tend to forget about all the other closing costs that go along with it. So those would be your land transfer tax, your legal fees, your moving costs, other miscellaneous fees. And the biggest point here is that you don't want to start life in your new home with zero in your bank account. It's not a good feeling. The third thing that you need to know as a first-time buyer is how much you can budget. And this is pretty important for knowing whether or not you can carry your new home. Some people have more debt to pay than they actually have income, which is obviously not a very good circumstance to be in, especially if you're wanting to buy a property. So you need to work on debt reduction or consolidate that debt as best as possible and as quick as possible as fashion as well. When the banks qualify you, they don't take into account your everyday expenses. And you need to know what these expenses are, because if you don't, you can actually spend more than what your monthly income is, because the bank hasn't taken into account your 2 trips to Starbucks a day or that lunch off to Hero Burger. They don't know that. So those little additional costs do come into effect, and you need to have a budget and a general idea of what your monthly expenses are so you can be comfortable when you go in for your financing. The fourth thing you need to do as a first-time buyer is get a mortgage pre-approval. The financing part of your purchase are the building blocks that you can work from. And you need to know how much the bank is willing to give you before you can start going to shop for a new home. Many people start their search without a pre-approval and end up getting disappointed when they can't actually get the pre-approval or the approval when they find a property that they really like. We've seen it cost people thousands of dollars when they get into an agreement and then they can't get the mortgage funds. So this is a very, very important detail that you need to hammer out before you truly start your search, because it gives you a general idea of how much you're truly qualified for and how much the bank is willing to give you at that point in time. The fifth thing that you need to know as a first-time buyer is whether your credit rating is in good standing. This can be a make or break for whether you get your home or not. Everything about your application for a mortgage can be great, but you want to make sure that you have your credit score in check before applying. Sometimes there might be a mistake in your credit, say if you have a common name with someone else and there might have been an error, and unfortunately this can affect your credit. So before you go and get that mortgage pre-approval, if there's anything lingering or any issues with your credit score, you'll want to get that fixed before taking the next step to get your mortgage pre-approval, because that will dictate how much you truly can purchase in the end. And the final thing that you need to know as a first-time buyer is whether you're ready to take the commitment or not. It is a big, big deal, and it's typically a lot of money for a lot of people. The average condo price is at a minimum $400,000 right now. And that's a lot of money, especially if you're just getting into the market as a first-time buyer. There's so many benefits of owning your own home, but this does come with sacrifices, and some of those sacrifices mean that you need to reflect on your current lifestyle. Since there'll typically be less cash flow available for frivolous things. Sometimes you have to give up some travel. These are compromises that you have to say to yourself at this point in time, am I willing to make? Or, you know what, am I willing to put that off in the future? So those are the top 6 things that you need to know as a first-time buyer. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave it down in the comment section below and we will answer it in a future video.